Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the CRNA Club podcast. I'm Sachi, your host, and I have got a really fun podcast episode for you today. I used to do a lot of resume reviews when I ran my group program called the CRNA School Application Accelerator. That was so fun. I loved doing that. That was like 2023, I would say, to 24. We had different cohorts and it was awesome. We worked on your resume essay. We had office hours, and I'm working on bringing some of those facets back to our new CRNA Club membership. The CRNA Club membership is really, I want it to be like your one-stop shop. It is now turning into more of an organizational tool with ways to support you during every step of your application process, whether that's starting off with the school search process. You can use your school database to filter through very nuanced requirements, like who requires organic chemistry, or what school doesn't require organic chemistry or doesn't require the GRE or accepts NICU or PICU experience. So we have that. And then we have, of course, all of our educational videos, how-to videos that kind of walk you through each step of the application process. Resume writing, essay writing, and even pharmacology and pathophysiology, bite-sized videos for your interview prep there. And then also we have your own personalized dashboard where you can keep track of your saved programs and post in specific school forums. You have your to-do lists. You can check the live event calendar to see what ANA meetings are coming up. It's really cool. And we're now about to deploy our next feature with the school database not the school database, but the dashboard, where you now have a saved program, but you upgrade it to a target program. And then once you have a program that's a target program, an entire new interface populates that will be very specific to that program's like to-do list items, their requirements, what events are happening for that program. And you all of a sudden have like, okay, these are my target program pages for the 4 applications that are due in the next 6 months. Like, where am I in each application? Like, what status am I at? Like, what letters of recommendation need to go out? What's the status of those? It's going to be really cool. I'm excited about that. But anyway, I digress. The whole point was, I was saying I used to do a lot of resume reviews for my accelerator students. And so today I thought I would bring sort of that to you in an auditory version, because everybody really loved those kind of hot seat resume reviews. Okay, so today let's go over some different pieces of the resume, and I'm going to point out some things that I see that a lot of people do wrong and things that you should do instead, and kind of how I personally, having seen hundreds of resumes, how I see people structuring them that works well, what works well. And of course, no matter who you talk to, even varying amongst different programs, everybody's going to have a little bit of a different opinion. But these are some pretty tried and true things and some standards I think most people are going to agree with. Okay. So starting off at the top, I'm sure you can imagine you've all seen, we have our resume templates. We actually have 8 of them now, which is so fun. I like to have a bunch of different resume templates because I don't like people just all turning in the same type of resume style, but I try to keep the essence of them all the same. But anyway, I have our 8th resume template pulled up here that I'm looking at. At the very top of the screen, I'm sure all of you have seen templates that have like your name, your first and last name in like big ass letters, right? Because you're like, boom, I want you to see my name so big in size 55 font. While that's great, you're using up a lot of real estate to like really shout your name. Yes, your first and last name should be slightly bigger and should stand out because you want to kind of flag your name, especially if you know people in the admissions committee. But it does not need to be so massive that it takes up like the first fifth of your resume. So just be very cognizant of that. Like, what does your header look like and how much of this front page is it taking up space? If you have a lot of things that are stacked in a column, like your first and last name, then your credentials, and then under that you have the first line of your address, the second line of your address, the third line of your address, then your phone number, then your email. Now you have like 6 lines for that header portion. You've just used up 6 lines of real estate, right? Like, utilize text boxes. Put put things in a horizontal row. On the left side, you can put your name, your credentials. On the right side, in that same row, you can put your address and your email and your phone number if you want. So just kind of look around for some style inspirations. That's what we do for a lot of our resume templates. We try to keep things in a row so you're not, you're utilizing the horizontal space, not just the up and down space, because that you're going to have 17 pages, right? If you don't get creative here. Because I know you'd be trying to pack in a bunch of bragging rights and all the things that you did, which I want you to do. So let's get creative with how we're going to display this information. Okay. So that's just the first thing. Don't go crazy with how big that first block of information is: your first and last name, your credentials, your contact information. Second, please look up how to write your credentials in our resume template guide or pack. We tell you how to write it. Ask ChatGPT how to write your credentials. There's no excuse. Get it right. And yeah, that's all I'll say about that. Your email address, please, no bootylicious 1994. Please have a professional email. All right, next, typically people will go with their education next. You are applying to a doctorate program. If you were applying to a job, an ICU job or a different job, I would 100% put your clinical experience first, your hospital experience first. But you are applying to a graduate program. You are applying to an educational program. Your education, in my opinion, should come next. And we want to do this in reverse chronological order. So what does that mean? Instead of starting off with the year you graduated with your Associates of Science degree in nursing in 2013, you're going to start with the most recent degree you have. So say you have a master's degree and you got that in 2023. That's going to go first. Come back to me if you are getting distracted, because this is important. If you have taken a class over again, like a graduate level class or even a non-graduate level class, like say you took organic chemistry, include that and put that at the top if it's the most recent. Put it in, the chronological order, but reverse chronological order, but put those classes in there. If you're still taking the class at the time of the application, you can still include it and then put estimated completion date, October 2025, or you can put in progress. It's a nice call out to say, hey, I'm taking a graduate level advanced pathophysiology course here. I just want to flag that for you. So make sure you do that. Okay, so I see a lot of people putting their GPAs. If it's high, you can absolutely go ahead and put it. What do I consider high? Anything above a 3.5 or even a 3.6. If you've got 3.7, 3.8, 3.9, 4.0, sure, go ahead and put it. The reality is they're going to have all your transcripts and they're going to have calculated your GPAs in the way that their specific program calculates it. While you may put 3.9 on your resume, they might calculate it a special way and come up with a 3.78 or something. Maybe not that dramatic of a difference, but they're going to go with what they calculated. So I'm really plus or minus on whether or not you should put your GPA. You're welcome to if you feel like it's really outstanding. Okay, don't forget when you are writing your education at the top. So say you got your Master's of Science in Nurse Anesthesia, or let's say your BSN, right? If you were a part of your Sigma Theta Tau Honor Society, magna cum laude, make sure you put that there as well. Definitely call that out. Those are things to be proud of. All right, next up, okay, when we're thinking about this first page, right? What is going to go on this first page? Education is a big one. Another one is probably going to be your leadership skills. Joining a committee is not the only way to develop leadership skills. You can, be a part of the Code Blue team. You're a preceptor or a charge nurse. You're, you lead certain Code Blue workshops or ACLS. You're an assistant ACLS instructor, or you led an initiative to do something. So all those leadership skills, I do like to have them broken out into a leadership category. I think it's a nice call out where it doesn't get buried within that hospital experience. So that's always my recommendation. I also like to see an anesthesia-related section that shows your shadowing hours, the number of hours and who it was with. So, Dr. So-and-so, DNP CRNA, or if it was an anesthesiologist. You do not want to shadow AAs, and you do not want to put that you shadowed an AA on your resume. I would advise against that. If you attended a conference, the state association conference or an annual congress or an EDGE conference, I would put that all under anesthesia related. If you did an anesthesia related project on your unit, like created some sort of checklist or handoff sheet or OR report sheet or something, you could also put that under anesthesia related as well. So I like leadership and anesthesia related on the first page. If you have a ton of certifications and organizations that you are a part of, you could squeeze it in on this first page. But if you just have your ACLS, PALS, BLS, and your CCRN, I don't think that that's worthy to put on the front page with your, real estate. I'd rather you put your high acuity critical care experience here. But if you're like, oh, I went crazy, I got my CMC, CSC, CCRN, TNCC, emergency nurses, I'm a part of this organization, this organization, this organization. If you feel like that really speaks to who you are as a person, you're very involved, then yes, you can put that on the first page as well. Definitely use 2 or 3 columns for this information because, ACLS, PALS, BLS, those are all short phrases. And yes, I do think that you should spell them out like basic life support and then parentheses BLS, pediatric advanced life support, parentheses PALS. But you can put this in 2 columns. And even one of our resume templates, we kind of have them nicely displayed out in like a paragraph format with like vertical lines, which is really nice as well. But you want to make sure that you display this pretty tidy. Okay, so the other thing is when you are discussing your shadowing or anesthesia related experience or anything with a date, please use the methodology of this horizontal view that I'm talking about. So I'm going to try to describe this to you because I know you're listening to this. So on the left side, you're going to have, something like if we're taking anesthesia related experiences, for example, on the left side, we're going to have 2025 annual congress attendee. That's going to be left aligned, right? And then on the right side, you can either add a text box or you can literally after attendee go like space, 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 space. You're going to put the city, state, and the date, and that's going to be right aligned. So you're going to have text that's left aligned and you're going to have text that's right aligned all in the same row. We're going to be utilizing horizontal typing here instead of doing 2025 annual congress attendee and then the next line under that city, state, and then the next line under that the date. Now we've just used 3 rows of information when we could have displayed everything horizontally and used less vertical space up. I hope that's making sense. Next is your experience. So I don't want you to, it's really clean if you can try to keep the main headers on very specific parts of the page or like not break up a section in the middle of a category. So what I mean by that, is if at the bottom of my page, I have the bottom of my first page, I have my leadership section, try not to do 2 bullet points on the first page and then a 3rd bullet point on the second page. Mess with the spacing, try to get your stuff all on one page, either the first or the second page. Experience is when it starts to get tricky. Some of you guys have a lot of hospital experience. And so in that case, if you start your hospital experience on the first page, you might have to do an experience continued on the second page, but make sure you reorient us on that second page and say leadership continued, experience continued. Let us know that you're continuing. So then when we flip to the second page, we're not just thrown at this random bullet point and we're what are we even talking about again? Because we're skimming, right? People are skimming your resume in probably less than a minute. So just reorient us and say, experience continued and then continue on. But for your experience, so this is where I want to be really clear. If you have a lot of hospital experiences, you were a travel nurse and you worked at all of these ICUs, and you were just a ton of critical care experience and you were doing very similar things at all these different places. Obviously, it's going to vary a little bit different from a MICU and a cardiac ICU, but for the most part, you were doing A lines, central lines, vasoactive drips, CRRT, balloon pumps. You were doing some of this the same things, rapid sequence intubations. You can break this up into a separate skills section and put this at the top. I only recommend doing this if you have more than like 4 or 5 ICU experiences that are very similar in terms of skills, and you don't want to be repeating under each hospital experience the same thing over and over. Like I did CRRT at all of them. I did intra-aortic balloon pumps at all of them. I did Impellas. I did chest tubes. I did all these things at all of them. I don't want to be super repetitive. In that case, you can break it up and put skills at the top. And then that way under each hospital, you're highlighting the things that are different. The patient population differences, the drugs that were very specific to that type of unit, or different leadership, not leadership, but different, very specific like things that those hospitals required of you. You can put that there. I do not recommend breaking up this skills section if you only worked at 1 or 2 hospitals. I would rather you really emphasize under those specific units what your responsibilities were, what kind of high acuity critical care experience you have there under those units, instead of just breaking that up. Again, it's really just for those people who are travel nurses who have lots of years of experience and have 5, 6, 7 different hospitals there. So you are going to want to include under your hospital experience, if it was a level 1 or level 2 trauma center, if it had a lot of beds, 24 bed unit, put that. You can put things like, number 1 or, primary STEMI center or something like that. If the hospital had some sort of special recognition that showed that it was very high acuity, feel free to put that. You want to be very, very generous in the types of patients that you say that you care for. I want you to really think about this, because I've seen a lot of resumes where I look at the name of the unit. I'm like, okay, like UCLA Medical Center. And then underneath it, they're like, cared for patients with multi-organ failure, ARDS, a kidney injury, and post-cardiac arrest. And then I'm like, okay. And they put like, et cetera. And I'm like, no, not time for et cetera. Like, tell me, like, brag. This is your time, humble brag. Like, tell me about all the sick patients you've taken care of. This is your time to shine. So don't sell yourself short there. This is really, you want to think about the ICU experience here. And in our resume templates, we have a bunch of different like checklist items that we ask you, like, hey, did you take care of these types of patients? Did you do these kind of invasive procedures? Did you assist with these types of bedside, devices and things like that? So I definitely want you to think about this and don't sell yourself short here. Okay, so after your experience, typically it's really great to see. You could put the certifications here after your experience. If you did decide to put it on your first page, what could go after experience is your volunteerism or your community involvement. Your volunteering does not need to be medical necessarily. It's really more about like, who are you as a person? Like, what things do you like to do? Like, do you volunteer with animals? Like, do you volunteer as a camp nurse? Like, it doesn't necessarily have to be community, medical related. It's just nice to show that you do give back and that you're not just, focus on yourself. We want to have CRNAs that are good people too. So, don't stress and be like, oh, I need to, volunteer as like a hospital greeter. Do something that's meaningful for you. If you don't have any community involvement, don't stress, but it is really nice to see. Okay, so I think that's pretty much the major sections. The last thing I want to talk about is formatting. I want your resume to be crisp. I want it to be tidy. I want every margin examined with a magnifying glass. I don't want to look at your resume and immediately see that the left side alignment is off, that the right side alignment is off, that the date isn't in line with the text that precedes it. I want you to hand your resume to somebody else and be like, just look at formatting, like what stands out to you right off the bat. The spacing between your sections. If you have a big space between at the top, but between your education and then your next bulk section of organizations and certifications, if you have a big space there, but then you squeeze the anesthesia-related stuff right up against the butt of the organizations and certifications, I'm going to notice. And so is the admissions committee. So I really want you to take a look at the formatting. Get real tidy here. My recommendation is just to use a PDF editor. Shoot, you can even use Canva nowadays. I think Canva, because Canva has like more AI features, I think you can drop a PDF into Canva and then like it's now editable. I'll have to check that, but I'm pretty sure because I'm an avid Canva user. But if it doesn't allow you to edit your PDF, then you're just going to want to cough up the like $12 for Adobe Acrobat Editor. So worth it. Trust me, do not write your resume in Google Docs. Do not. I'd rather you do it in, like if you have a Mac, like .pages, or if you have Microsoft Word, please use Microsoft Word, but for the love of, okay, I'm getting stressed just thinking about it. Do not use Google Docs. I prefer PDF editor because it's more drag and drop. You can add text boxes and then you can just drag those text boxes and move them around. And they have these little guidelines that you can toggle on. So then you can get real crazy like me and make sure that all of your dates on the right side line up, all of your bullet points on the left line up. It shows like a grid and you can really make sure everything's tidy. But definitely check out Canva first, because I want to say I'm like 90% certain that you could use it as a PDF editor now, and you don't have to pay for Adobe. But even if you do have to pay for Adobe, it's like $12. It's so worth it to have a clean resume. So I hope this was helpful for you guys. We have a bunch of resume videos inside our CRNA Club membership. Of course, we have our resume templates. We've got 8 of them now. And the resume is one of the big pieces of your application that's just so worth it to just take the time to get right. So anyway, I hope this was helpful for you guys. Hopefully you could envision what I was talking about. Alrighty, that is it for this one. I will see you guys on our next episode.